Hello, Aries. Welcome to Soul Good. I'm Amber Marie, and this is your May 2023 Tarotscope. In the description box below, you will find all sorts of goodies, including a timestamp if you would like to jump to the start of the reading. I would like to take this opportunity to remind you that this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so please only take what resonates with you and leave the rest. I'm very excited and feel very blessed to be sharing a spread I created myself with you. We're going to be looking at what have you conquered, where have or where are you gaining clarity, what do you have the opportunity to change, and what might you be celebrating now or in the future. So let's dive in and see what you've got going on. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves. What has Aries conquered, please? Okay, that's quite a few cards. We're going to take them. Where have or where is Aries gaining clarity? Okay. What does Aries there? Okay, thank you. What do you have the opportunity to change? That came out really fast. What might Aries be celebrating now or in the future, please? What might Aries be celebrating now or in the future? Okay, thank you. Let's get some clarity. Tell us more, please. What has Aries conquered? As of May 2023, what has Aries conquered, please? Okay, okay, thank you. Where has or where is Aries gaining clarity, please? Tell us more about that. Okay, thank you. Tell us more, please. What does Aries have the opportunity to change? Thank you. And finally, tell us more, please. What might Aries be celebrating now? Okay, thank you. I like that. I like that for you, Aries. All right. Can we please have some guidance, encouragement, or advice for Aries for May 2023? Okay, thank you. Set those to the side there, and let's jump in. Okay, so what have you conquered, Aries? All right, this is beautiful. I love this. So first out, here we have the octopus. This is really telling me, Aries, that I feel like you have conquered creating boundaries. In some way or another, in some part of your life or another, I feel like you have been able to conquer establishing and possibly even maintaining boundaries. I feel like this is going to vary depending on who you are and where you're at in your own journey. But I feel like for some of you, you've been able to maintain this level of boundaries or this application of boundaries. I feel like this is potentially with, for whatever reason, I feel like this could especially be with people. And I know that kind of goes without saying, but I feel like these could be people who maybe previously very easily crossed those boundaries where it was like a free-for-all, right? I'm kind of seeing it like in the past, you may have felt like, gosh, I really wish this person would like get their own life or would mind their business or something like that, or would just leave you alone or what have you. And I feel like you still allowed them access. Like you still permitted them to come in. You still permitted them to cross those boundaries. And I feel like there was this level of like discomfort. Okay, it's really interesting as well because I just looked up and I saw 444, which interestingly, fours are about stability, right? You think of like a square, right? Or like the four legs of a table. And I feel like you've created that stability, or let me rephrase, set that foundation, right? It's interesting because, again, it's about foundations and stability, or rather it can be, but I feel like the reason that it came through that way is to really bring forward the square, as if to say boundaries, but also I feel like bringing through those four legs of a table in the sense of like, I'm now standing firm or stable, or have created these foundations in these boundaries where I'm less likely to waver from them. Does that make sense? Right. The other thing about the octopus here is there's that energy of like oversharing, right? Like dumping things out there that maybe you it's interesting because it feels like there could have been times where you're like talking and you're just talking to certain people, and the next thing you know, you've said too much and you're like, oh shit. Right. So I feel like there's that too. Or you could have also, if you're listening to this and you're like, Amber Marie, there's nothing about any of what you're saying that resonates with me, that's also possible, of course, because this is a collective reading. But there's another side of this where I feel like some of you could have created boundaries around people who are just gossipy. Okay. Where people just talk about other people, and I feel like for whatever reason you may have recently created boundaries around that. I feel like in the past you may have let it slide because maybe it was a friend of yours or a family member or something like that, and you just didn't want to be rude or stir the water. And I feel like recently you could have conquered that in the sense of like, listen, I just really don't care. I don't want to listen to this gossip about this person or that person or what have you. Like, it's none of my business. Right? So I feel like some of you have conquered that. We also have the hummingbird here. Yeah, right. So this is another energy where I feel like you've conquered going where the nectar is sweet, or going to those places or those people that fill you up, that provide for you. It just feels like so what I mean by fill you up is these would be individuals that you would go around and you would leave feeling happy. You would leave feeling content. You would leave feeling fulfilled in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not saying this from a sense of like you get things from people and that's why you go around them or what have you, or like your energy pulling from them. And if you don't know what that means, feel free to check that out, look that up online. It does come from the Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. But I feel like there's this energy of conquering, oh, this person is good for me. This person isn't. And a good example of this is I feel like you no longer entertain those individuals or those spaces or those environments where you leave feeling worse than when you arrived. Right? So maybe you feel you're around some people and you would like leave and feel exhausted and be like, oh gosh, like I just can't stand this, and I just don't want to do this, right? Or this could have been environments where you like had anxiety going to them. Maybe it was a place of work, maybe it was a family member, maybe it was a friend, whatever it is. I feel like what you've conquered is being able to establish and discern what spaces and what people fill you up, what places you go to that leave you feeling like you've, how would you say, like, I keep getting the word fulfilled. Okay, so maybe that means something specific to someone, but it's what it feels like to me, because the hummingbird, right, requires a lot of replenishing of their energy because they use so much of it. And so, it feels to me like you're no longer just settling for the things that don't fill you up. And again, this could be people, this could be a job, this could be habits, this could be hobbies, this could be a multitude of things, just depending on you. But I really feel it's very interesting again because we have that octopus that is about boundaries and perhaps even about, people who are gossipy or just negative all the way around. And instead focusing more on what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel full of life and creative and full of spirit, right? Like excited, replenished, happy. We also have here the shark. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. So I find it fascinating that you have two water energies out here. Um, because I feel like there's something here about having conquered perhaps an aspect or a facet of your emotions or your intuition or spirituality or perhaps even relationships. Because I feel like somewhere along the line with this air energy, you may have gained a higher perspective. Okay. You may have gotten clarity, especially some mental clarity on some things. Okay. And emotional clarity as well, I'm hearing. But with the shark here, like this is that energy of, how would you say, it's like it's interesting because the words I'm getting are like dancing around the bush. um the shark is a very like direct energy. It's like I'm not going to be hiding things, and what's very interesting about that, Aries, is so are you, right? Aries is a very direct, straightforward, fearless energy in its most positive aspects, and I feel like this is something that you've conquered. I feel like there's no more dancing around the bush. There's no more, dodging how you really feel, or, and that's not to say that you're just running around all willy-nilly being like tactless and savage and rude and stuff like that. But I feel like it's more of a, listen, these are my feelings. This is how I'm thinking, this is where I'm at, and you need to understand that. Like, you need to be aware of that. And if you choose to ignore that or you choose to disrespect that, then I'm going to act accordingly. Right? That's how I'm seeing this. I also feel like for some of you, you may have learned how or been learning how to conquer your aggression. Okay? As well. That's what I'm getting here with the shark as well. Because they can be seen as aggressive animal, or an aggressive species. And I feel like coming through here, there is this element of learning how to conquer that. So some of you may have also been conquering your aggression, right? Kind of, what am I, how, again, like putting a lid on it is what I'm getting. So it's interesting because I almost feel like for some of you, you could feel that aggression or that temper like building up, and instead of feeding it, you're like, okay, I'm going to put a lid on this. Like, I'm going, and it's not so much that you're ignoring it or denying it, but rather I'm not going to let it get further than what it already is. And maybe you like remove yourself from the situation or create those boundaries, or maybe you do something that does fill you up. Okay. Let me just make some more room here. We have another card. Oh, beautiful. We have the cosmic egg here. So with the cosmic cards, or excuse me, the spirit cards, I tend to always read from the book because I feel like they're so, and that's not to say that I don't value the other elements, okay? Because I absolutely do. But with the spirit elements, it's a lot more for me, very much like, the significance is a lot like the major arcana in the tarot for me, for whatever reason, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and read that, but intuitively speaking, I do feel like, how would you say, okay, so I'm getting just from looking at the card here intuitively, like there's a conquering of your true colors, like embracing your true colors, which is weird. I've never gotten, to the best of my recollection, that message with this card, because I'm literally seeing this snake wrapped around this egg here, like an embracing. And then I don't know if you can tell, but it's like kind of tie-dye colored here, that it's like embracing your true colors. But let's go ahead and read here from the book. give me a moment to open up to this. I want to say it's the last. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So it says here, completion, harmony, the infinite with the finite. The cosmic egg is the final card in the journey of the animal spirit deck, and it represents the unfolding of cosmic consciousness. This state emerges after we have tread the path for quite some time, and through self-effort and grace, we experience self-realization. A sense of contentment and oneness spontaneously arises within us, and the veils of our self-limiting beliefs are lifted. When the essence of the cosmic egg has not been activated, we may feel as if we will never get there, or that we travel alone, disconnected from others. Even if our encounter with this card is brief, appearing as a momentary glimmer or flash of interconnectedness, its potent energy stays with us. The cosmic egg is a remedy for the fragmentation of modern life. It's through the power of this card that we are reminded of the cosmic contract written at the beginning. We hold on to life, and life holds on to us. The journey is complete, but it does not end. The subtle essence of the cosmic egg resides at the crown chakra at the top of the head, called Sahara. I may be saying that wrong, and if you know I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. One of the aims of yoga and meditation practice is to channel energy from the base of the spine up towards the crown chakra. Each of the 6 lower chakras plays an important role along this journey. And once the final epicenter of consciousness is activated, it is said to radiate the light of a million suns. So, something, I feel like, how do I say this? I feel like there is some part of you, Aries, who has conquered yourself. Okay? Or you have conquered some part of yourself. Okay? That's what I'm feeling with this card here. You may have conquered some fears of yours, and maybe it's fears of being who you are. Maybe it's fears of your truth. Okay? Because again, there's that embracing of one's true colors that I'm picking up on here. Let's take a look at the tarot and see what it has to say to clarify. So we do have the 4 of Wands here. And this is, I feel like there's this, with the 4 of Wands, I feel like there's this sense of like freedom or celebration. And I feel like there's that conquering, how would you say? It's like celebrating the fact that you have freed yourself from yourself. Does that make sense? I also feel like for some of you, there's been some developments perhaps in maybe certain relationships or something. Okay? Because again, we have the octopus, the hummingbird, and the shark, which have all felt very much to me about people. Okay, so I do feel like there's this kind of celebration of sorts, where it's like I've conquered certain relationships or how to move in them or something like that. Okay, to navigate them better, perhaps navigate your role in certain relationships better. I'm also seeing this as an eye, so I feel like you're seeing things more clearly, right? But again, it feels very much to me like there's this freedom, this stability. There's that 4 again, right? This stability that's been created through the conquering of yourself and your boundaries and getting to know yourself and being very direct and honest about who you are and taming your aggression, these sorts of things, right? I feel like it's been empowering for you potentially. Ooh, wow, that's fascinating. We also have the Three of Wands. This time, this is coming up in the reverse here. The Three of Wands can be about obstacles, delays, and frustrations, those sorts of things, right? And it's interesting because here we have this color inside of these wands, okay? So it's almost like holding yourself in, um, and that be like you being an obstacle within yourself, okay? That's how I'm seeing this. And I feel, this is this is what I feel you've conquered. Threes can also be about groups, expressing yourself as well. So again, we come back to those relationships that I've picked up on, conquering those, and expressing yourself very directly, very fearlessly. Okay, so we also have the Strength card here, also in the reverse. And the Strength card is that, especially in the reverse, is that energy of, say, insecurity. Okay, maybe I mean, this feels like insecurity to me. This, and conquering that again, right? Understanding that you have this strength within you, this light within you. There are things that are, how would you say, like there are things that are beautiful about you. Again, I feel like it's conquering insecurity. I also feel like it's conquering pride, um, as well, right? And perhaps even feeling like there are things about you that make you weak, um, or areas that you've felt weak in. And really, it's been about embracing those things and conquering that side of yourself, finding that confidence, that inner strength, that ability to stand in who you are, the courage to stand in who you are. And I feel like this is what you've conquered. Okay. It's very interesting to me. Okay, let's take a look at where you have or where you are gaining clarity. We do have the buffalo here, and this is an energy that's really about, essentially, first of all, it's fascinating to me because it is an energy of not having fears of challenges or delays or obstacles or even death, which is, here the Three of Wands in the reverse is literally about challenges and delays and obstacles, or can be. And I feel like, again, this is something that's conquered here, and I feel like you've gained clarity on that through this buffalo energy. The buffalo is also about being grounded on the planet and on earth, but also understanding that you are a spiritual being, or that there is a soul, you have a soul, and there is an aspect of you that is of spirit. And so that aids in that, no longer fearing death and no longer fearing the challenges or the obstacles, because there's this understanding that all of these things help you to grow, that all of these things help you to evolve, that all of these things help you to learn about yourself, right? It's not so much about running from what it means to be human and the spectrum of being a human, but understanding that all of the things that we experience carry value and wisdom for us. Okay, so I do feel like you're gaining clarity, or you either have or are, okay, gaining clarity in that area where you start to see the spiritual meaning behind things. And I feel like sometimes it might strike like lightning, sometimes it may just feel like it comes out of nowhere, like an aha or an epiphany, where you're like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense now, right? What else do we have here? The vulture. So again, here's that energy of, so where are we, or where have we gained clarity? Okay, so Aries, this for you could very well be, again, we talked about the octopus with boundaries, embracing who you are, going where the nectar is sweet, right? And the vulture is about clearing dead things away, getting rid of the trash, if you will. I know that's not very delicate, but it feels to me like you're gaining clarity on essentially what is trash in your life. And this could be old ways of thinking, old ways of being, old habits, old behaviors. This could be old stories that you've told yourself. This could very well be people, relationships, jobs, living situations, you name it, anything is game. But whatever it is, I feel like you're gaining clarity on what is dead and needs to be released, what needs to be let go of, what you need to clean up in order to bring improvement in your life and your experience, in order to enjoy life more fully, or to appreciate life more fully, or to just live more fully. Okay, so again, I feel like this is where you're gaining clarity. I feel like you're being shown these things, especially if you have started to conquer creating boundaries, especially if you've started to see what environments, what people, what situations bring me joy, bring me happiness, make me feel alive. Accept me as I am, make me feel confident, make me feel loved and welcome and cared for and held, because these are all important things. And that's not to say that, everybody should just fall at your feet. Like, please don't get that confused. We will still experience people in our life who create challenge, who make us feel uncomfortable, etc., etc. But it's about really releasing things from our life and people from our life where we feel this way consistently, where they create anxiety or a feeling of exhaustion, or these sorts of things, or feeling like we aren't worthy. These are not people and situations that we want to repeatedly expose ourselves to, and never, how would you say, like, it, create those insecurities within ourselves, right? Make us feel like we're not enough. We also have the bear here, and it's interesting because I do, again, right, the octopus is about creating those boundaries. It's about stretching those tentacles out and saying, like, you're not coming any closer, because this is my boundary and you're not crossing it. So I feel like part of gaining clarity, you may have essentially hibernated from certain people or certain situations, maybe all the people. Right, maybe you stepped back from social life a little bit, maybe you stepped back from being in the public a little bit and took some time for yourself, and in doing so you've brought light to, or illumination to, some of these areas, and gained clarity through that stepping back, through that taking time to really get to know yourself and really listen to yourself and really understand yourself, and really, give yourself the ability to just, I'm getting like the word discern, I'm getting the words, and I'm seeing it as kind of like a sifting or a sorting through things, right? So I feel like it's like kind of a grounding into yourself, and really allowing the separation from people, or isolation, or whatever label you've put on it, to bring clarity to you, okay? To shed light on things. Beautiful. So I love this so much, because you did have the strength card here in the reverse, which is the lion, talking about what have you conquered. And then here in your space of clarity, it shows up in the upright. So again, I feel like you've gained clarity on the things that bring you confidence, that make you feel secure, that make you feel appreciated. I'm getting that word as well. But I feel like you've gained clarity on the people and the areas that make you feel strong, that motivate you. I feel like you've also learned something about yourself and creating your own confidence, which is really interesting. Also gained courage to be exactly who you are. And then another thing that I feel with this card is, because we have the shark here that was getting kind of that conquering of that aggressive energy, and the lion is that energy. It is not that. So when we look at the tarot and we look at the strength card being that Leo energy with the lion, right? It is not like a brute physical strength. It's not a might is right kind of strength. It is a very benevolent kind of strength. It's a very regal type of strength, right? And I feel like somewhere you've gained clarity on how to balance that. Okay. It is an authoritative type of energy, but I feel like it's not a like a like a Midas right authority, right? I feel like you somewhere along the way, I feel like you've learned, or rather gained clarity on how to balance that out, right? To clarify, wow, we have the Chariot here. So let me just pause for a moment and say, like, you have several of the major arcana here. So I do feel like you're going through a big transformation this month. With the Chariot in the reverse here, I feel like what you've gained clarity on is perhaps where you haven't been very disciplined within yourself. Um, Again, this is aggression. This can be aggression, or like, again, like lack of discipline or direction. And so I feel like you've gained clarity on that, right? Like, I mean, this feels very much like a conquering of oneself this month. It feels very much like a really exploring and examining and sifting through yourself, and really seeing where you can improve, or what you can do. Again, like, I'm getting the word epiphany. So it feels like there's been kind of this, maybe like a snowball effect, where something may have happened and you started like delving into self, and now are gaining the courage and the knowledge and the awareness of yourself to be able to implement new ways of being. Okay, so again, I feel like you've gained clarity on where you've been aggressive, where you haven't been disciplined or lacked direction, potentially also where you've needed to assert yourself, I feel, right? For whatever reason, I don't know why, this is not something that I've ever really experienced with this card before, but there is this star here with the Chariot, and for whatever reason, I feel like some of you have also gained clarity on your faith. Just a little something that came through, right? If that's for you, you'll know, or have somehow managed to find faith or hope in moving, or rather, yeah, finding faith or hope and clarity in experiencing challenge, experiencing the death of things, and I don't necessarily mean that as like people, but more so perhaps the death of relationships, or ways of being, or things that need to be released and cleaned up, let go of. So what do you have the opportunity to change, Aries? We do have the dragonfly here, and I really want to, I'm going to say, this for me, as soon as I turned it over, I feel like you have the opportunity to change the depth at which you know yourself. Because the thing about dragonflies, and it was in my head right away, is I just seen it like skimming the surface of the water. And even with here, this triangle, this downward facing triangle, that is a symbol of the feminine energy. And the feminine energy is that energy of emotion, okay? Spirituality, feeling. So I feel that you have the opportunity to change the depth at which you know yourself. And I feel like you could potentially be getting the opportunity to get to know yourself even that much deeper. But what's very interesting about this is the deeper you go, the higher the perspective you receive. I just looked at it as well, and we were at 3333. It allows you to grow. Okay. So we have this air energy here with the dragonfly, but also that downward triangle. So again, the deeper you go, I feel like the higher perspective you're able to see things from, because you understand yourself at a deeper level, which gives you the opportunity to look higher in situations and really truly change your experience based on what you've learned about yourself. Let's see what else we have here. Wow, we also have the elk energy as well. So Oops, sorry, I just kicked something. That hopefully that wasn't too loud. I feel like with this elk, so it is an earth energy, and I kind of get the feeling, because if you look, we have this air energy with the upward triangle with a line through here, and then the downward facing earth symbol here, and it just feels like you have the opportunity to change things by, how would you say, gaining that higher perspective and then grounding it into the earth. Does that make sense? I feel like you have the opportunity to really get to know yourself, to really understand yourself, and then to bring that into your being and to move from that space. That's what this feels like to me. It feels like getting that, again, getting that higher perspective, seeing things, really bringing them through your being, allowing them to integrate, and then moving from that. I want to look though. I'm going to look in the book and just, oh, look at that. I literally opened right up to the page. So the elk energies here at the top, it just says stable, resilient, headstrong, and the father. So what's fascinating about this is that, again, you have the opportunity, like I said, I feel like it creates this kind of stability within your own being because you're able to see yourself from a higher perspective, which means not only do you see yourself and can navigate yourself more easily, but you can navigate your surroundings more easily as well. It brings in that stability within you, which is funny because, again, the fours are about stability, which I mentioned earlier. And in addition to that, this elk here representing that father or masculine energy, it's funny because the emperor in the tarot, the number 4 is also that father or masculine energy. But that downward facing triangle there, like I said, is the feminine. So this is about, I feel like, bringing that balance into your life between the feminine and masculine energies. And I just have to reiterate or point out that it doesn't matter whether you are a male or female. We have both of those energies within us, okay? Both masculine and feminine energies. Just oftentimes one is more prominent than the other, okay? So, I feel like you have the ability to, or rather, what do you have the opportunity to change? I feel like it's bringing balance into that masculine and feminine energy by diving deep to gain a higher perspective, to bring stability in by that understanding of self. Okay, I hope that makes sense, but let's take a look at the tarot and see what we clarify. Funny, Mother of Wands in the reverse. So it's interesting AF because Mother of Wands or Queen of Wands in the reverse is an energy of insecurity, right? So again, what do you have the opportunity to change? I feel like you have to continue to develop your confidence, because in the upright, the Mother or Queen of Wands is very confident, very lively, very passionate, right? Very determined, but how would you say, she's also very sincere and independent, right? So it's one of my favorite energies in the deck, truly. It is also a representation of you, Aries. So I feel like, you have the opportunity to really step into your own and to really be the secure, confident, passionate, lively person, the energetic, self-assured person that you are, without fearing that, without hindering it, without hiding it. Right? To really just step into who you are very confidently and truthfully. We also have the 6 of Wands here in the reverse as well. This being that, funnily enough, there's that energy of like excess pride, which can be with that Strength card in the reverse, right? That's also very similar type of energy. It can also kind of, I'm really getting like that pride energy here. it can also be like a lack of recognition or feeling like you're being punished, right? Which I feel like if you get to know yourself and understand yourself and why you are the way you are and why that's important and are able to better navigate that, I feel like oftentimes what happens is that you understand again that you're not being punished, but you or that you're just not being tucked under the rug, as it were, right? It's that, how would you say, when you deny yourself and your truth, right? When you're not fully embracing who you are, the world mirrors that back to you. So as you learn to get to know yourself and appreciate that and love it and find um, passion in that and confidence in that, the world starts to mirror it back to you. So you start to see, okay, I'm not being punished. Okay, I'm not, being abandoned or rejected or just not being recognized for who I am. It's literally me doing this to myself. Um but again, that excess pride really stands out because I don't know why, because it's coming through as like pride in a very like aggressive kind of way, right? So I feel like you have the opportunity to continue to change that and to mold that and to use it to your advantage, right? Like to help it to continue to develop you. And what's interesting is that the Six of Wands is also connected with that Leo energy, and you have that Lion here twice. So, it feels to me like a lot of what's taking place for you this month, Aries, is really stepping into that strength and that inner courage, that confidence, um, that regal kind of energy. And I feel like you have a big opportunity to change that for the better and bring balance into your experience through that. Because here's the thing, sometimes when, and I've seen this with my young Aries, my very young Aries, he's just 13, but he has a lot of pride, and when he pulls back on that, just, I mean, ever so slightly, he truly is so fantastic to be around, truly. But sometimes his pride can get the best of him, and it really can create some icky situations for him. So, I understand that you're likely not 13, of course, but, I feel like you have the opportunity to change in that way and really to just be beautifully you without the aggression, without the pride, which just helps your situation overall. So let's take a look at what you might be celebrating now or in the future. So you do have the earthworm here. And what's the earthworm is this kind of novice type of energy. It's and sometimes, how do you say, right? So maybe a position that you've had is like, I don't know enough. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, or why I'm doing what I'm doing, or any of that. And sometimes we fail to recognize that being a novice or being a beginner or not really, or being maybe a bit immature, if you will, um, can often be beneficial for us because, it gives us kind of like a clear playing field, right? Whereas if we think we know all the things, if we think that, or maybe we've had practice in certain areas, it sometimes can prevent us, especially if we have a lot of pride or are especially hard-headed. It can prevent us from being open to growth, being open to new ideas, new ways of being, learning new things and things like that. And so there's this element here of you might be celebrating in the future the fact that, how would you say, maybe not being so well versed in things, right? Because I feel like it gives you an opportunity to truly learn and truly change. I also feel like with the earthworm here, you could be celebrating literally stepping into something new. Maybe it's a new job, maybe it's a new living space, maybe it's a new relationship, maybe it's just a new way of being entirely. But I feel like you could also be celebrating just something new coming into the physical, because this is an earth sign, or part of the earth suit. And then there we are again with 4444. So, you could also be celebrating maybe newfound stability in your experience, which goes along with that earth type of energy as well. Okay. Yeah, yeah. And here you have the Temperance card to clarify. So, again, with that major arcana coming out, these are big changes for you, Aries. And I feel like with Temperance showing up, again, what you might be celebrating now or in the future is that balance, stability. It also feels like you could be celebrating like the fact that you're now able to be patient, and maybe again this is a new way of being with that novice earthworm energy. You could be celebrating moving into a new way of being, but having patience and being able to keep calm even in situations that maybe previously would have lit you up, and maybe not in the best type of way either, right? So I love this very much for you, because it does feel like a lot of growth taking place for you, or rather the potential for a lot of growth through the month of May. Let's take a look at some advice, guidance, or encouragement for you. So we do have here by the book the number 11 showing up with these elephants. And what I love about this is I feel like it's encouraging in the sense of elephants are they remove obstacles, right? They are a symbol of that. And so I do feel that you could be potentially having some of these obstacles removed, which again you have this three of wands here in the reverse, which is that representation of obstacles often, or challenges or delays, which are what you've conquered. So again, it does feel like there's forward movement taking place here for you, and I feel like that's encouraging. Let's see what else we have here for you. You also have a leg up. So I do love that there's another species of bear showing up here in your reading. I love that the leg up is here as well, because I feel like part of this is encouragement in the sense of you're not alone. You do have help from your guides, your angels, from source, right? I feel like you're not alone. Also, your higher self. I also feel that, how would you say, there's advice here and encouragement in the sense of doing these things will give you a leg up in the future. Okay, doing these things will give you a leg up in the future. So I feel like it's encouragement, because it's really confirming that you're not alone, that you have help, and maybe this comes in the form again of like your angels, your guides, but it could come in the form of people as well. But also that not just that you have help, right, but also that this is something that's meant to be helping you in the long run. So I feel like it could be encouraging. And that bear showing up again, though it is a different species of bear, I feel like it is again that, how would you say, spending time by yourself can provide you with a leg up, as it has in the past potentially. And if you're somebody who's like, I haven't really spent any time alone, maybe this is your sign that you should. The third number 34 reduces to number 7, which is about introspection, reflection, assessment. Okay, so taking a look at self is going to give you a leg up. Diving deep within self is going to give you a leg up. All right. And finally, for you, Aries, we have time to go. Yes. Yes, 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 right? We talked about boundaries. We talked about, going to where the nectar is sweet and where you feel like you are understood and heard and held, right? Appreciated, loved, cared for, and releasing with the vulture the things that aren't serving you, the things that are dead, the things that are decaying, the things that are stagnant, right? It's time to go. And this is, I feel, advice for you. The number 45 reduces to 9, which is about that, how would you say, nearing completion, right? And here I feel like it's time to go, in the sense of you are so close to completing a cycle, right? But you have to be willing again to release the things that you've gained clarity on that are just stagnant, that are not working, right? And I feel like you've already started to do this with the boundaries. You've already started to do this with, maybe not spending so much time with certain people or in certain spaces. And now I just feel like it's time to just full on release that, let it go, and move on. And I feel like that will help you to continue growing, to continue learning, and moving forward and evolving. So, Aries, that is what I have for you for the month of May 2023. I pray that this month you are able to continue to grow and to release the things that aren't serving you, so you can sink even more fully and more deeply into exactly who you are, able to be your beautiful, amazing self, very bravely, very fearlessly, and are able to sink deeper into the things that make you a great leader, the things that make you you. Right? The world needs you to be who you are. So I pray that you're able to continue embracing your true colors and being who you are, diving ever deeply into those, maybe those nooks and crannies of yourself, and bringing them to the surface and sharing them with the world, because we so desperately need that truth and authenticity. If something in this reading has resonated for you, please do the YouTube things by liking, sharing, subscribing, or commenting below. I truly do appreciate it so very much. It helps the channel to grow and tells YouTube that there may be something valuable here for someone else to see. So thank you very much for doing that. Thank you for sharing your time and energy with me. It truly has been an absolute pleasure to read for you. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your month. Take care of your amazing, amazing soul. Peace be with you and within you. And I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.